When it comes to video games, remastering old video games from yesteryear is big business. From games from the 90s to noughties, to even a game from a few years ago. It's a trend that started early in this generation of consoles and hasn't stopped since. And now we're seeing the 2009 Ghostbusters game being remastered for current gen consoles just in time for Halloween and the new film which is coming out next year. So let's see if busting ghosts still feel good then. Originally released in 2009, Ghostbusters the video game was rather bold for its time. It's essentially billed as the third film we never got. As for the game's story, it was written by the original team of Dan Aykroyd and the late great Harold Ramis, and was released on pretty much every single console at the time, from the PS2 and Wii to the Xbox 360, PS3 and even the DS. The DS version was its own thing entirely, whilst the PS2 and Wii was called the stylized version, and it had a cartoony sort of art style whilst also following its own different story and included the ability to play as a female Ghostbuster. Whilst the PS3 and Xbox 360 titles had the realistic version, which included a different story, the ability to play only as a male Ghostbuster, online multiplayer, as well as an obvious more realistic visuals, and this is the version that got remastered. As for the game's story, this is set in 1991 and follows the Ghostbusters as they employ a new member to their ranks. Your character, whose name is never revealed and is only known as the Rookie, and as the Rookie you'll help out the team with all manner of different missions, trying to stop all manner of ghouls from causing trouble. The story itself is certainly a highlight, especially considering this was penned by the original team, and the original cast of the Ghostbusters are all here voicing their respective characters, and it's a wonderful production and shows a lot of love and care has been put into this title, unlike other licensed games. Onto the gameplay now, and you go through the game's several linear-like levels, searching around looking for ghosts to zap and trap. To get a ghost, first you must reduce their health, then smack them about a bit until they're dazed, and then finally you must drag them to trap them. When first starting the game, catching ghosts can be quite awkward and time consuming, but once you get used to how the gameplay is, it should be pretty much second nature to you. Going through the game, you gain access to newly created weapons to use out on ghosts, and they can be really fun to use, as well as that there's a few upgrades to use on the cash you earn in the game to help boost your Buster's power. The game's level design can feel a little bit basic, and a lot of it involves going through corridors, and later on in the game there is some really harsh difficulty spikes that can frustrate you even on the lower difficulties. Between missions in the game's quieter moments you can explore the Ghostbusters HQ. Looking around it's actually a really authentic looking HQ, and fans of the films will be all over this. As for the length of the game, what we're seeing here is a 6 to 7 hour adventure, which is a pretty decent length that doesn't outstay its welcome. On the topic of replayability, alas there isn't really much here. You've got the game and that's it. There are some collectibles, but they're nothing really that much. The original version did include online multiplayer, but this remastered didn't include it. But according to the developer, they're currently working on a multiplayer mode and it will be included in a future free update. As for any details on what the mode is like or when the release date is, nothing has been announced yet. Onto the presentation now, and as this is a remaster, you're obviously going to expect some visual difference from the previous version. As this game is based on the realistic version of the PS3 and Xbox 360 and not the cartoonish one that the Wii had, and back in the day the realistic version actually looked pretty good. And now, 10 years on the Switch, it looks, well, pretty much the same. With a slight improvement to lighting and resolution, the game certainly looks like a title from 10 years ago, with some odd lip sync issues and rough textures. For me, playing the game in portable play on the Switch is arguably the best way to play, as the rough textures don't look so bad on the Switch's smaller screen. On the other consoles, we've got a similar situation here, only real difference is the resolution, with the ability to play at 4K resolution on the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. As for the frame rate, it aims for 30 FPS on the Switch, and for the most part it does stick to it, though it does drop occasionally. On the PS4 and Xbox One and the more powerful Pro and Xbox One X, these are at 60 FPS, and for the most part it is buttery smooth, though again it does drop in the busier sections. As for the game's audio, it should be applauded for its voice acting, which gets all the Ghostbusters team back together. Alas, Harold Ramis passed away a few years ago, but this was made 10 years ago, so he was still alive to be able to put his input in. Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray all do a sterling job that perfectly recaptures the utter joy of the films. Conclusion time now, and it's great to see the Ghostbusters back in this wonderful trip down memory lane. Whilst it does feel like a game from 10 years ago with some questionable level design and difficulty spikes, the charm, story and essence of the Ghostbusters shines through. With all the main Ghostbusters back, with a humorous storyline that really does feel like the third film we never got. The 6-hour campaign doesn't outstay its welcome, though it is a shame the multiplayer isn't included at launch, and graphically the remaster isn't that much of an upgrade. But nevertheless, if you're fans of the film, this is easily the best Ghostbusters game out there, so with that I'm giving Ghostbusters the video game remastered a 7.5 out of 10 with the title of good. Thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming. Bye!